What's up, guys? What's going on? So it's a beautiful bittersweet morning here at Jubilee. It's day 14 of this phase 2 install, and I say bittersweet because I hate to say we're done, but you know, obviously the object of all of our jobs is to be done and on to the next one. But this one has just been over the top exciting, rewarding. You know, they're not all this cool, you know, they're not all this grand, they're not all this size, they're not all, you know, where you have the ability to kind of do what you want, you know, play with plants, move things the way you want to. So, you know, here I've been kind of let loose, you could say, like a array of trees and species we knew we wanted to use, but really no delineated plan, you know, with exact locations of each plant or each species. So, you know, a lot of things have changed, like I had mentioned, you know, where I originally thought they were going to go. And we got out here, things changed a little bit. You know, everything changes when you hit the site. So this is almost like a state park. You know, obviously not all properties have the ability to have this grand of a landscape, you know, or can afford to. But, you know, there could have been many other things this money could have been spent on, and to see it spent in an ecological type direction like this, it's pretty awesome. You know, I mean, it gives me hope in the world today. So when you look at over here, I mean, they've already had 5,000 pounds of food come out of phase 1. We finished that in February. I mean, that's, you know, 10 months ago. And it is a beautiful morning out here at Jubilee. Guys are plugging along. And I have to say, these guys that you see out here today, most have been here since the beginning. They're still hanging, and they're still doing this stuff because they love it. Todd, you gonna be tired of looking at grasses after this week or what?
Probably.
Probably, huh? You're still hanging, man. You've been here for a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
Job to do.
Yeah, he hasn't walked off yet. That's something I will point out real quick. Todd does not come from the landscaping background. To come out here and hang with us, I gotta say that says a lot. You know, most guys cannot hang. This is not easy work. This is far from, you know, just lackadaisy going out, going through the motions. This is, you know, hard, bust your butt, get dirty, sweat, bleed, learn type work. You know, this is not easy, but it is rewarding. You know, the reward that we get, you know, these guys, they've been getting excited all week. They're seeing the project come together. I mean, this place, when I got here, it was a disaster. I mean, it looked horrible. It was really hard to, you know, look at it and fathom the idea of what it was going to look like when we finished, you know, to imagining it turning into where it is right now. You can see we're leaving today. We still have this bed to plant out. So these grasses, all those little plastic pots, those are those sunshine mimosa that will be going in there. This is another area where we did plant some citrus in the understory of the oaks. There's a couple of fioja in here, some other different interesting natives, some yapun hollies, Jamaican caper, cordgrass, firebush. So over here we're kind of on that west edge of this pond area, and this is that cordgrass, silver saw palmetto, old hammy eye bamboo. There's some cypress trees over here on the corner of the pond. We planted this out with all the pond species yesterday. Definitely starting to look much better. On this side of the pond we have a larger species tree, being the red cedars. You know, those are typically in a native habitat found, you know, right outside of that cypress dome. So that's usually that next species that you find in the wild. So we really tried to mimic that here. Saw palmetto is obviously commonly found in the wild. Native mealy grass. You can see, or you can barely see, is all those pond species. So I had Phil over here yesterday kind of telling us what he planted, where he planted it, you know, the idea and goals behind it. You know, some of these species also being edible. And you can see they're all very young and small right now, but once they grow up, you know, this will really develop. And this is a, you know, multi-use space. So the homeowner had asked me actually just recently, you know, is there any functions to these ponds? Originally when this pond was built, they needed fill dirt to actually bring up the ground for the main house over here, which is kind of, I guess it is right there. You know, I think they were originally going to bring in more fill dirt, fill that hole back up. Well, we decided to bring some ponds in. And what ponds allow, they allow us to plant out different species. So, you know, even though this property may be on the water, you know, it's on the salt water of the Gulf, that's saltwater. This pond is freshwater, so this is attracting, you know, different beneficial insects, different native species. All I have to say is, you know, all day long while we're here working, especially in the mornings and the evenings, you hear the frogs going nuts over here in the corner of the pond. See the dragonflies over the top of it. I mean, those are like our #1 predator for mosquitoes out here. So, you know, this is bringing in different levels of beneficial insects, different species. We're actually going to put some tilapia in this pond. We're trying to control the water level without lining it, which has been obviously kind of difficult. We might try some different methods. We've looked into clay, we've looked at some other things here, but this pond is definitely going to look much better once, you know, a lot of those species start to come up. I mean, there's duck potato, there's arrowroot, there's alligator flag, there's bacopa. Had these Arbequina olives mixed into the landscape, mixed into that large center bed. And, you know, as I was getting some of this material delivered, looking at these trees, I was like, wow, these are just, they're so majestic, you know, they're so grand, they're so stately. You know, like I had mentioned maybe in my olive video, I look at olives as like almost being like that dooryard tree. They're very stately. So by putting them in that large bed, you know, with all these other species, they were getting kind of washed away. They weren't standing out. So we had a large area here. This is where we had a lot of fill dirt that was left from the construction process. Originally, the builder had the idea, take that fill dirt, bring it over here, create a mound to get rid of it. So that's what we did. We came up with some species to go on top of that mound. That mound acted as a higher visual break, like I had spoke about for this area over here. And we actually ended up putting some Bahia sod around this, and you know, that's something I'll point out. I don't do a lot of. I don't like putting sod down. It's not my forte. Sometimes we have to do it. Sometimes we do things we don't like. You know, this was like the trim on the house. Without that sod there, it would still be pure sugar or sand around it. And we're getting that really nice green contrast. So that is a sustainable lawn alternative. It won't get sprayed. It doesn't have irrigation. It does typically go dormant in the wintertime, but we did lay a little bit of grass. Can't wait to see this bed fill in. That's that tropical sage. That'll be a nice bed of red flowers, you know, which red will roll into red once the poincianas are flowering over there. And here's my other little kid seating area. I've probably talked about this one like 3 times, and cool little spot for the kids. So we got the bamboo level over here. And you can see now, I had been talking about since my first video about creating this visual barrier, about blocking this stuff when you come in the entrance. You know, they have a greenhouse over here, they've got logs, they've got tractor implementations. You can't see any of that now because of the berm, because of the planting, because of the mulch pile. So it's really kind of, you know, done exactly what we were hoping for. Really blocked off that spot. So you can see we have an instant wall of bamboo here. This is graceful bamboo. Get to be about 25, 30 foot tall. So this space that we just planted out is roughly 2.5 acres. Phase 1 was roughly 3 acres. So we're working with about a total of 5.5 acres. Total property size being 12 acres. Here's one of these bad boy grafted jackfruits. Let's see what variety we're working with here. I think this is the small one, but oh yeah, Autocarpus heterophylla. And there's the graft. You can see that large club foot. So that is a grafted jackfruit. Pretty excited. So this is about as far south as we planted in the food forest, other than the pond. And you can see lots of sweet almond, bananas, mangoes, or you can't really see because they're still small, but I'll tell you, they're there. There's a sweet almond, some pineapples mixed throughout, a Fakahatchee grass. There's that edge as far as we planted south over here on the east side. Lots of mangoes, bananas, mimosa, Fakahatchee grass. Oh hey, what time you got over there?
It's almost 8 o'clock.
You think I was gonna joke, trick question or something?
Trick question.
Almost 8 o'clock. Day 14. We've only got some hours left, bro. That's it, hours. So you can see these are going in some heavy mulch underneath the drip line of the oak tree. We planted 3 nitrogen fixing mimosas around each. Then we'll top dress those really heavy with biochar and organic fertilizer. So we started to bury this irrigation line. You can see we're planting these really high. And these were just drenched in that imidacropin soil drench. So they just had that poison on them to keep that greening away. Alright, what's growing on? You guys know what time it is. Got the Geel on the trailer. All the rigs are loaded up. The train is ready to go. These guys did a good job. So obviously couldn't have done this without the team. Want to just show you guys around, let you see the finished product a little bit. Pretty proud of this one. It definitely turned out pretty awesome. Obviously, you know, it's still young. These plants just went in the ground, so you know, it looks good now. But give it, 6 months, give it a year, give it 2 years, let the system develop a little bit, and I think it'll really be breathtaking. Right now everything's still kind of young, immature. As these things establish, that's when the real beauty starts to happen. That's when the real, everything kind of just starts to come together. Uh-oh, the Isuzu's getting out of here. This one's a little bit slower. We let him get on the road early. That's Mr. Ian. He's got a couple of things to offload when he gets back to the farm, and a little bit of a ride in front of him, so. This is really exciting type work. I don't think there's anything cooler I could be out here doing. Definitely love my job. Love what we do. Enjoy coming to work. Look at this man, he's out here quick checking, picking up any sticks, making sure there's nothing buried. We always go back through, check all the root balls at the end, make sure nothing got buried, make sure all those grafts are exposed. Just a once over, making sure nothing got buried in that mulching process. There's always touch up going on with the mulching. Always making sure it's the attention to detail that everything is perfect before we pull out of here. So, I got guesstimated probably about 1,000 yards of mulch we used over here. 50 yards of compost, 5,000 pounds of biochar, 2,000 pounds of organic fertilizer. Lots of plants, 4,000 plants or so. So it's been a fun one. Wait until this establishes. It's still young right now. We haven't even tipped these mangoes because we're going into winter. We'll probably tip them right in spring. I would typically, talking about tipping, but I would typically tip those right after they went in the ground. But because we're going into winter time, we're gonna wait a little longer. Oh, Tara, what's up, girl? You don't like my drone? She's a little tired from chasing the drone. This is all Dune sunflower, another seeding log for the lake, some cordgrass, gaillardia along the front. So we'll have some nice flowers over here in this pond, including all the new pond plants that will be coming up. Here's that old hammy-eye, sea grapes. Ryan had come out this morning, mentioned he wanted a little spot to sit here by the pond. We set this guy down before we put the loader on. We got a neat little spot to kind of come out here and sit, enjoy the pond. I actually see some little fish in there. Be nice to see this all establish and grow together, so. That is a wrap. Jubilee Phase 2, we are done. Definitely not done here. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We've got some other areas to plant out. We're gonna be planting out this little creek over here where the bridge is, and all the way out by the main road, we're gonna be doing a native planting. So this one's been a blast. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching as much as I've enjoyed filming and showing you guys the install. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and please share my videos. Help me get them out there, you know. And please comment, you know. There's definitely some YouTubers out there that don't comment back, and I'll tell you, sometimes it takes a couple days, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks, but I do my best to get in there, like your comments, comment back. I enjoy it. Thank you all so much. Pound it.